Second day. On the following day of the 7 days of Mishteh celebration, the bridegroom, the groom and bride, again thought back about the other beggar who was deaf, who had given them vitality and had given them bread. And they were crying and longing, "How can the deaf beggar who kept us alive be brought here?" Meanwhile, as they were longing after him, he came in and said, "I am here." And he fell upon them, kissed them, and said to them, "Today I present you as a gift, that you should be as I am, that you should live as good a life as I do. Because previously I had blessed you with this, today I give you my good life as an absolute gift, drasha geschenk, which is a wedding discourse present. You think that I am deaf. I am not deaf at all, except the whole world does not matter to me whatsoever, that I should hear their lacking. For each and every voice in the world is only about needs, since everybody screams about his deficiency. That is, what he hasn't, what he doesn't have. And even all the world's celebrations are all exclusively about deficiencies, the rejoicing over that which he did not have. Whereas now, he was what he didn't have. He has what he didn't have. And by me, the entire world does not amount to anything whatsoever, that I should hear their deficiency. For I live such a good life that has absolutely no lacking whatsoever. And I have an attestation of this, that I live a good life, from the land of wealth. And his good life was, he ate bread and drank water. He told them, inasmuch as there is a land where there is great wealth, they have enormous fortunes. One time the wealthy people gathered together, and each one began to boast of his good life, how he lived such a good life. And each one described the routine of his good life. I spoke up and said to them, the deaf beggar who was telling all this, I live a better good life than you. And this is the proof. For if you live the good life, help out that country. For there is a country where they had a garden, and in the garden were fruits which had all kinds of tastes in the world, and all kinds of scents in the world. Also, there in the garden were all kinds of sights of every color, and all the pleasant flowers, kviatin, of the world. Everything was there in the garden, and over the garden was a gardener, agradnik. And the people of the country would live a good life through the garden. The gardener there got lost, and naturally, whatever there is in the garden must surely cease to exist, since the gardener is no longer there to see the garden and go about with what needs to be done around the garden. But despite this, they would have been able to live from the garden's untended growth, that is, from the regrowth, that is, from what grows in the garden by itself, from that which falls down. A cruel, in other words, merciless king came, imposing himself over the country, and could do nothing against them. So he went and spoiled the country's good life that they had from the garden. It was not that he spoiled the garden, rather he left behind in the country 3 crews of slaves, and commanded them to do what he ordered them, and by doing what the king ordered them, they ruined the taste. For through what they did there, they made it that whoever wanted to sense a taste, it would have the taste of a rotten carcass. Similarly, they ruined the smell, so that the sense would have the scent of galbanum, chelbina. And similarly, they destroyed the appearance, for they made it be dark in the eyes, just like when it is cloudy. All this the 3 crews of slaves accomplished in the country by doing there what the king ordered them, as mentioned. Now, if you live the good life, let me see if you can help out that country. All this said the deaf beggar said to the land of wealth, which he bragged about, that they live the good life, as mentioned. And I say to you, if you won't help them out, it will harm you too. In other words, that which the appearance, taste, and smell in that country were ruined, this will also reach you. The rich men mentioned above got up to go to that country, and I went with them too. On the way they lived a good life, their good life each his own, for they had fortunes as mentioned.